Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the Tinker vlog. It's a really quick one today because unfortunately I've not been very well, so I've been able to sort of secure my usual recording time, so I've had to shorten it quite a lot. But I thought for this episode I'd go back and revisit an older game. So I'm sure all of us have got them, these sort of old games that you know when you first started designing and you thought, oh, this is brilliant, this is the one that's going to take me forward, and you kind of put it all together and you start designing it and you think this is the next best thing in like board game design or card game design, and you go all the way with it. So this is my game that I went all the way with. So I even went as far as getting artwork done, graphic design done. I wrote the rule book, I put the rules online for sort of submissions, I took it everywhere I went. So I played a lot of card games in the past, and every time I went to a tournament I'd take this deck with me as well and sort of show it off to people to see what they thought of my game. And the game itself is called Bubbles. Nice and straightforward. It was designed as sort of a family-friendly kind of game. Don't be fooled by the number of cards. This is a bit of puff, and a lot of it is just bloat because, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I let the game sort of expand quite a lot, and there was quite a massive fat stack of cards and then a nice little stack there as well. So the objective of the game was, I don't know if everybody has played Bubble Bobble back in the day, you know, those cute little dragons that fired little bubbles out of their mouths and they'd capture these little bossy things and you'd smack them and then they'd pop and out come a little prize or a present, like a piece of fruit or a power-up or something like that. So that's where I got the inspiration for this game. So essentially, everybody will be dealt one of these 3 colours of castle, essentially bubbly castle, and the idea is you're trying to pop all of your opponent's castles before yours get popped. So you give this a little shuffle, everyone will get 3, so I might, oh dear, that's not very good. So I might end up with, say, yellow, red and blue. And then let's hope that's turning up on the camera there. And then in this stack here is bubble cards and treasure cards. So you'll be dealt a random hand of, say, 6 of these cards at the beginning of the game. And these would do sort of things like, so you'd either end up, as I said, with bubble cards, which would have up to 3 bubbles on them, like this, for example, of matching the 4 colours of the castles there. Or you might end up with these treasure cards, which would have special effects. So during your turn, you would play a card and then draw a card. So it was nice and simple, straightforward. If you played a bubble card, you'd pick an opponent's castle and you'd throw it onto that castle like that. And if a castle ever had 3 bubbles on it, it was destroyed. So it would flip over and it'd be gone, and the bubbles would be discarded and all gone. But the owner of that castle would get all the treasure items that would suddenly just burst out of this popped balloon, you know, like as I said in the Bubble Bobble example, and you get to draw 3 extra cards. So during the course of the game, your hand size would increase by 3 every time you lost a castle. It's kind of like a soft catch-up mechanic. And then, as I said, the treasure cards did various different things. So sometimes they would be free. So for this one example, like the Flying Hedgehog was a free card, which meant you could play it during another player's turn. And they would do all sorts of weird things. So like the Flying Hedgehog would allow you to pop a bubble that was thrown at you this turn, or pass the Scrubber, which would allow you to sort of remove a bubble card. So if you had a bubble card on one of your forts, for example, let's just pretend that wouldn't have popped that immediately. You can scrub it off and then immediately play another, throw a bubble card at somebody else, for example, like that. What other treasure cards were there? All sorts of crazy things. The Bath Bomb, that would allow you to destroy a treasure card that had been used on you, for example. Or the Duck of Doom, which meant all forts needed 4 bubbles on them rather than 3 to pop them. So you could use that, all would need 2 rather than 3 to pop them. So this could be used offensively or defensively if you just wanted to end the game and destroy everybody else's hopes and dreams. So yeah, it play tested well. I mean, it was, as I said, it was a super straightforward little game. Really good for like playing with kids. So a lot of the families that I've sort of play tested with, the kids were more into it than the adults, obviously, because it was quite a simple theme. But the adults got into it as well, purely based on the fact that, you know, the kids could get involved and they understood the idea that, you know, this scrubbing brush could take a bubble card off and just whip it at somebody else or throw it into the discard pile, for example. So yeah, it play tested well with kids. And I think the reason I never continued with it was my next design, which was Ghostal, which is the one that actually got published in the end, and I've been asked to sort of put it on display a bit more prominently. Oh, there he is. Yeah, so Ghostal came along and I felt that it was a more complete game, a more rounded game. more of a gamer's game. You know, it had these sort of stats and the numbers crunching and everything, but it was still relatively simple. There was that movement, and it had a cool theme. You know, I love spooky Halloween themed games. That's going to go in the outtakes. And it spoke to me more than Bubbles did at the time. Obviously Bubbles still was one of my very early designs. But recently, sort of after moving house, I found my copy of Bubbles that I'd sort of had printed up for using this artwork that I'd had made. And it got me thinking about the reasons why I shelved it. And it was mainly because it was just too straightforward, I think, for what you get out of it. So games like Dobble are fantastic in the fact that they are very simple, straightforward. The rule set is minuscule, it's tiny. But they managed to cram a lot of content in there by simply using the same cards to design several different games. So I don't know if with Dobble, some of it's you've got to match opponents, sometimes you've got to match something in the centre, sometimes you've got to snatch things instead. And using that same mechanic of matching 2 icons on each card, they were able to create, I think it was 5 different games in one box. Fantastic. So it gave me the idea that what maybe I need to do with Bubbles is go back and look into it and see if maybe there is something I can do. So maybe instead of it being sort of all the 3 forts were in front of you, maybe there's a group of, like, all the forts are in the middle or something, and the idea is you're trying to pop them so you can keep the forts or something like that. Or maybe there's like a cooperative element where it's like 2 teams where you can only play it 4 player and you've got to try and defend your team's things. And if you're, you know, maybe there's a team game in there as well. Maybe certain treasure cards get removed, you know, for example. Like there is no way to cast, say, the Flying Hedgehog, so you know for a fact that every single bubble is going to hit. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to look into next. So, sorry, a really short one today, but as I said, you know, I've wanted to sort of get this out there because I was kind of enamoured with the idea of trying to take this down the Dobble route, of seeing how many games can be made with the same set of very simple mechanics. And I'm hoping there's plenty I can do with it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any designs of yourself that you've kind of, early designs where you've pushed it a little bit too far and realised, you know, maybe I shouldn't have taken it as far as I did because there was better stuff in the pipeline later down, you know, down the line. Or that you felt that you had to stop because there was a natural stopping point, you didn't feel that it was strong enough to take it any further. If you could let me know what you think in the comments, and as I said, you know, link me to your vlogs, your blogs, let me know what you're doing, what you think of these kind of things, that'd be fantastic. Thanks very much guys, bye.